Hello and welcome to another episode of Tribunal of the Grid, where we talk about all things Power Rangers, including the actors that played them. My name is Brandon,
I am Lena.
and today we have an exciting guest with us. Um, he's been on the season of Power Rangers MegaForce and Super MegaForce, and he played the Blue Ranger Noah Carver. Please welcome Mr. John Mark Loudermilk. How are you, sir?
Hello. Hello, I'm good.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Problem.
Seriously, like it's such a pleasure to have you on our show.
Mhm.
We really do appreciate you being here. Um, let's just go ahead and get down to it. So originally, you're from the South, correct?
I am, yeah. Yep.
Okay,
Yep. I'm from
okay,
Georgia. I'm still in Georgia. I moved back here.
really?
Yeah, so I am from a small town called, it's not really that small, I guess,
Mm.
but I'm from Columbus, Georgia, which
Okay,
is about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours south of Atlanta.
Oh,
And then
wow.
I grew up in the country, so like just outside of Columbus, in this really small town.
Wow.
Probably about 1,000, 1,500 people in that town.
Damn.
oh, wow.
Yeah, super tiny. And then, yeah, and then I moved back to Georgia in 2016 with my wife.
Okay.
So we live in Atlanta. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Uh,
So I know you're saying that you grew up in a small town and everything.
mhm.
Did you watch Power Rangers as a kid? Did it influence you at all to make any like decisions?
Yeah. So basically, the funny thing is, I think everybody, you ask anyone, they have watched Power Rangers. Um, the one thing though for me is that my older cousin, he was like obsessed with Power Rangers growing
Okay.
up. So we would like play, we would like play the characters outside. And it's funny because he was always the Red Ranger, whatever. But
What color were you?
I think I was probably the
Right.
Black Ranger.
Oh.
Okay.
Probably because I was brown, but whatever.
Oh.
Um, but growing up, I feel like I watched Power Rangers, but I was like, I feel like growing up, I was hardcore into like Batman the animated series.
Mm.
Ooh.
Yeah, like Dragon Ball Z.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I was into like Thundercats, stuff like that.
Wow.
A lot of growing up for me, I mean, probably I don't know, like 10 and below was more cartoons, I
Mm.
guess, more like animated stuff.
Mm.
I mean, I definitely watched Power Rangers, but it being an influence on me, yeah, it was a huge influence on me. Not more so of me being like, oh, Power Rangers, do I want to audition for this? That was more so like, yeah, off the bat, I want to audition for Power Rangers. Yeah,
No brainer question, right?
yeah, no brainer.
Right.
Yeah,
It's like, what silliness is this you're asking me?
yeah. What are you talking about?
Like, are you serious? Like,
Yeah,
really? Well,
yeah, yeah.
when it comes down to like your upbringing and everything, so what was like that turning point that made you say, I want to actually, become an actor? Or did you always want to be an actor? Or
Yeah, so growing up, I did a lot of theater, especially in high school.
Mm.
I did church plays, and then my biggest role, other than Power Rangers, was I played Baby Jesus at my church. You know, pretty cool.
that's a big role.
Yeah.
That's a very big role.
Yeah. So growing up throughout like middle school, I did some plays, but then high school was sort of a turning point for me. I went to a private school growing up, like a private Christian school growing up, and then high school, I went to a public high school, so that was a huge transition for me. And then, uh, like freshman year, I saw a play and I was obsessed with it. Just the atmosphere of it, what was going on. It was Joseph in the Multicolored Dreamcoat. I don't know if you guys know that show.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, I love that show.
yeah, so I saw that show and I was just like, whoa, I need to do this. How do I do this? So I ended up starting out as like crew. So I did crew for a
Okay.
year, and then my sophomore year, I started getting into more on the acting side of it. And then I've always been like a ham, in my family. Like I've always loved being in front of the camera and, um, being the forefront, being kind of the guy that's like doing something. But then I think high school was when, like my senior year, um, I knew that if I went to college, I wanted to do like musical theater of sorts. And then there was a program that happened where I could go to a film school. So I was like, yes.
Nice.
So I sort of I knew I wanted to be an actor, and I knew I, wanted to pursue that. So I just kind of, went along with it. It was great.
Nice. Now I know this. Well, this is personal for me because I feel like I've seen you. Did you go to NIFA?
I did go to NIFA, yeah.
That's where. That's why.
Did you go to NIFA?
I did. I went the same time
yeah.
you did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's why I was like, I feel like I've seen you before.
Wait, what year did you graduate from NIFA?
I did the MFA program.
Okay.
I graduated in 2013.
Okay. So you were around. Wait a second. You did the MFA. Do you know Alexa Berry?
That name sounds so familiar. I may know her face, but I don't. The names are like kind of jumbled.
13. Okay, my wife graduated in 2000. I think 11, maybe 2010. That's crazy. Yeah. I went to NIFA. So that's pretty much what I did right after high school.
Okay.
I was 17. Obviously, I told you I'm from a small town. Never been to New York City. I did a acting competition, and I basically auditioned for this scholarship that a teacher at NIFA New York was doing, and I got one of the slots. It was like, I think 10 of us out of, I think something like, I don't know, 2,000 kids that were auditioning for it.
Okay.
I got a slot for a scholarship to NIFA. So, but I had to go to New York because he was obviously a teacher in New York. So I went to New York at 17, never been there before. My mom was like, "What? You're not going." And then, they dropped me off, and I did my first year in New York, and then for some reason at NIFA, you have to get your degree, you have to go to LA, even though it's called New York Film Academy. Don't
Right.
Yeah, don't ask me about that.
Yeah.
So the summer I came home, I called my parents after my first year, and I was like, "Hey, so to get my degree, I have to go to California." And my dad was like, "Okay, why don't you come home and then we'll talk about it." So I came home for the summer, and I actually worked a job teaching kids acting.
Nice.
And then my dad was like, "You know what? I think you need to go to LA. I think that's going to be a really good opportunity for you. You need to do it." So I packed my stuff up, and me and my dad, he drove me out to California.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What was it like living on your own for the first time at 17?
Oh, it was weird. It was so weird. I was in New York, we had like, you could live wherever, but they didn't really provide anything at NIFA, but they gave you
They
like.
did not.
So like.
So you could, they suggested places to live, and so I stayed at a dorm, and my roommate wasn't even there for like the first, I think, day. The first day I was just by myself.
Wow.
And so my parents left, and I was just sitting on my bed, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So then I walked outside, all jolly, like 17-year-old, like, I'm in New York. And I walked outside, and I was like, I like literally breathed in, and I was like, I'm all alone. And then I went back inside and just went back to my room. But the good thing is NIFA did provide like a Facebook group. So I met some people across the hall that were filmmakers.
Nice.
So I just hung out with them, and it ended up being like 2 filmmakers and a student that was going to school for, I think, accounting or something, but not at NIFA at all. He was going to like Pace University or something. He was like
wow.
an exchange student too from China, and then me and him just hung out all the time. His name was Alex. He was awesome. He used to cook me all sorts of food. I was like, yes, dude, this is amazing.
We all need a friend like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. So it was interesting.
And what was like
Definitely.
the transformation from like New York to LA for you? What was that like?
It wasn't really that hard. So basically, the friends that I had made in New York, we pretty much, it was me and 2 other guys that were leaving New York to go to LA.
Oh, nice.
So we were, sorry, it was me and 3 other guys. And then we just were roommates out there. So as soon as like I got there, me and my dad were out there for maybe a couple days, and then I was like, okay, it's time for me to go to my dorm now. See ya. No. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad transit. I was super excited. I feel like I was more excited about being out in LA than I was New York. You know, because it's like, you know, you've gotten over that like sort of freshman style year of college, and then you know, it's your sophomore year. You're cool, man. You know what you're doing. You know, you've got it down. You know, you can cook food other than ramen noodles. You're doing well.
Ramen noodles and instant rice.
Right. I'm like, that's still my life right now.
Yeah, it's my life right now.
Right.
Hello.
It's all that's left at the grocery store.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I couldn't even get pasta sauce for my pasta.
Yeah. No. Yeah, you're just eating dry pasta.
Right.
I'll tell you what, though. My wife does this. We call it drunken noodles. You take your noodles, you throw some butter in there, throw some Parmesan cheese, you melt it up. It's good.
That's what I was gonna do next.
Really?
That's what I was gonna do next.
Good. It's good.
I need to try this.
Yeah.
This sounds good.
Right.
Because all I had was butter and like, I think some pepper, like, you know, black pepper and stuff. I'm like, I think I'm gonna try this and see how it goes.
Yeah, it's good.
Nice.
Good
So,
tip.
tell me about when the audition came around for Power Rangers and you were like getting ready to go and stuff like that. How was that for you? Like, how was the actual audition process?
Okay, so that's the other thing. Everything, you know, I am really blessed as an actor. Everything sort of fell in place in weird situations for me out of NIFA. So I was actually at a house party, and I met 2 people, and they were like, "Oh, our manager would love you," and so that's how I got signed with my manager. And then I was with him for maybe, I don't know, maybe like 6 months after I had graduated NIFA, and he got me an agent, and I was super excited. I'd been on a couple auditions, maybe like, you know, I don't know, a couple, but he got me my agent, and then my first audition with my agency was Power Rangers.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
So it
so
just kind of fell together.
yeah, and so my first job ever as a professional actor was Power Rangers. Like coming straight
That
out
is,
of NIFA. Yeah, which is crazy.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So the audition process was, so my manager called me in. He was like, you're gonna audition for Power Rangers." And at first I was like, "Wait, like the kids show?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was I was like, "That's still going on?" Yeah. And I was like, "Okay, that's awesome. Okay, cool." But he called me in, and he was like, "So this is sort of a strange like audition." Basically, he was like, "You have to sign your contract before you even audition." So I was like,
Wow.
"Okay." So
Oh.
um, we originally were like auditioning. All the guys were either auditioning for black or red. So I was auditioning for the Black Ranger, which obviously is Azim's role.
Right.
And so what's really funny too is that Peter, the Blue Ranger from Peter Sudarso, the
Mhm.
Blue Ranger
Ninja
from
Steel.
Ninja Steel.
Mm.
Me and him met on the audition at our MegaForce auditions.
Nice.
That's how I met Peter. And Azim, I had talked to Azim that day. We met outside, and he was the first one of my crew that I met. We hit it off, and we were talking. He was telling me that he had been auditioning for, I don't know, the past 2 years. So he auditioned for Samurai as well. So I was like,
Damn.
wait, what are you talking about? He was like, yeah, I auditioned for the last season. And I was like, wait, how long is this process going to be? Like, he was like, I don't know. So my whole process lasted about, I would say, 3 months of auditioning.
That's
So
crazy.
I went on probably 6 auditions before we even had like a screen test. So you would go to the audition, and typically with actors, you go in the audition, you kill it, or you flop or whatever, but you still, either way, you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Mm.
And with Power Rangers, you go in and you do it, and then you wouldn't hear back for like weeks, and then they'd be like, hey, we want to like, here's a callback. All right, here's callback number 2. Here's callback number 3, 4, 5. So you're like, what is happening? And it really sort of wouldn't, like, it would go down sort of smaller and smaller, but not really that much. So you're still seeing like the same people. So it was kind of interesting. Like, I don't know. It was just kind of weird.
That's actually kind of jarring.
It is. It can be. So, and when I first went in for my audition, it was literally just an audition. There was no one there. I just went in, and man, this is so embarrassing, but I tell it all the time. I did my first audition. I did it. I felt really good. I left the room, and I was walking down the hall, and the casting assistant, Michael, ran down the hall, and he was like, hey, John, can you come back for a second? I was like, yeah. And so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, here we go. So I went back in the room, and Iris, who is the casting director, she was like, can you do it again, but do you know any, like, moves, like karate moves? And as an actor, you're always like, yes, and what can I do for you? So I was like, yeah, sure. At the time, I had been watching a lot of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys have seen that show, but there's a character on the show called Mac, and he does these ridiculous karate moves, and he even does the sound effects when he's doing it. I'm like, so I did my line, I said my line, and then I literally did what Mac does on the show, like, and making those noises, and I was just like, I was baffled that I just did that, and I was like, oh God, what am I doing? But then I got a call back, so I always,
it worked.
sort of, yeah, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia got me the gig. So, yeah, so and then the callback. Going back to your question, was it baffling? The callback. There was a bunch of people there. Like, we were all like crammed into a room, and I walked in with my my sides or whatever, and then I walk in, and people have like bow staffs, and like some people brought like practice swords, and I was like, what is happening? Am I supposed to bring a prop?
Whoa.
It was interesting. Like Azim, I think Azim brought a bow staff and or maybe a practice sword. I mean, he had this stuff. Azim he's always super active, and he does jousting. So, yeah, I mean, like,
it sounds like Survivor.
yeah, it was.
Right.
Like, fight for this role, guys. Fight for the role.
Yeah, this is weird. So, and I actually had a callback on my birthday. It was my
Wow.
I don't know which birthday it was. Maybe my 21st. Yeah, it had to have been. It was my 21st birthday. I had an audition for Power Rangers. That was my last one, actually.
Wow.
Before we got the call. Yeah, so, yeah, it was crazy.
How did you feel when you actually got that call? Was it like a sigh of relief, or was it actual excitement?
It was, so, yeah, I got the call, and then I but I got a voicemail from my manager, and he was like, "Hey, you need to call me like right now." And I was like, "Okay." So I called him, and he was like, "Hey, so you're moving to New Zealand," and I was like, "What? I got it! What?"
That is so cool.
Yeah, and then I ran inside and I told my girlfriend, well, my wife at the, it was my girlfriend, my wife now. I told my wife, and I was like, "What?" And then I ran outside, I ran back outside out front, and I called my mom and I told her what happened, and then I just started like bawling, crying. I was just like, everything, all like 6 months of or 3 months of doing this just like came out, and I was just crying my eyes out.
Wow.
And yeah, it was just a really overwhelming sort of thing. Yeah, it was crazy, but it was a cool experience.
At that point, did you know that you were Noah?
So at trying to think, I don't remember. I don't think I did. I think later on they had told me like, okay, so you're gonna be the Blue Ranger, and then they sort of told me my character, but I don't even think they told us. I'm trying to think. I don't think they told us our characters until we like got there. So before we left. I got the news in about maybe July, and at the time I was like looking for my own place to live, and I had to pack all my stuff up. So I'm trying to think. I don't even remember. Yeah, I don't think they told us anything until we like sort of got there. They told us that what they were providing us, like per diem and stuff, and what they were giving us for rent and stuff like that, which did not cover rent. I mean, that was one of the things too. Is me and my manager were looking up like apartments and stuff over there, and we're looking up like apartments that are really nice for like $1,000 or $1,400, but it wasn't a month; it was a week. So
what?
It's expensive in New Zealand. It is expensive.
Holy macaroni!
Yes, so that's one of the reasons why all five of us lived together. That's why we did that.
I don't blame you. I would be.
Well, yeah, we were looking around, and we were looking at apartments, and a lot of we would find apartments that were decent. I mean, they were like like an okay apartment in LA. You'll find one for, I don't know, they're expensive there too, but you'll find one for like 1,400. Let's say 1,400, or I can't even say that. Like $1,500, you'll find an okay apartment, and that's a month. But we'll find an okay apartment that's $1,500 for freaking a week. So it's expensive.
It is. So what it was like living with your castmate and then working with them after?
So at first we were sort of, me and Azim were kind of those people that were like, okay guys, this is gonna be great. We're all gonna live together. We can all like rehearse together. We can all, we're just gonna be like a family. It'll be great. And it was. Don't get me wrong. It was great, but it can be taxing to wake up at 4 a.m, see your co-star, try to beat him to the shower for hot water, get in a van, drive, 40 minutes to go to your work, be in the same trailer as him, get makeup done at the same time, be in the same trailer, be on set all day, then go home with the same person, same people, and then, so it can be taxing. I mean, you see the same people 24/7. So, but I will say that we are super close. Like, I would say our season is probably the closest season out of any season. You'll hear other people say that, but I just don't believe that, because they didn't have that experience that we did. I mean, Cameron, the Silver Ranger, when he came, well, you guys know Cameron. Cameron, when he came out, he got an apartment. They provided him a place to live.
Nice.
He didn't stay there. He stayed at our house. Like, he wanted to be with us. Like, it was, and I wanted Cameron there. It was like, we all wanted Cameron there. It was, like, he would sometimes go to his apartment and stay there, depending on what was going on. But he stayed at our house. Like we literally were a family. Like I really wish that I had a video camera down there because it was the real world New Zealand Power Rangers. I mean, it was awesome. Like we went through, we had fights. Like me and Azim got in a fight. Like we're both putting each other in headlocks, and like we would run down the hallway and he'd take a shower, run down the hallway in his towel, and be like fist bumping, and he broke our light. Like we had really hilarious moments. It's funny, but
So,
I
like-
don't, and
Sorry,
I
go.
would not give up us living together for anything. Like I'm so glad we did that, And you ask any of them, and I know that they would say the same thing.
That's
I mean, I'm
crazy.
sure Christina probably wanted her space, but I think we all did.
So it was like all 6 of you living in one apartment at one point?
Yeah, so we rented. It was a house, so it was a 5-bedroom house.
Okay.
That used to be a psychiatrist's office. So we were
wow.
Okay.
we were there for maybe a month, and somebody knocked on our door that used. No, I'm sorry. They didn't knock on our door. They were sitting in our living room, and Aziz walked out, and he was like, "Can I help you?" And he was like, "Yes, Dr. So-and-so here." And he was like, "No, I think you should go." So we had to start locking our door from then on out because we had people just showing up being like, "Hey, is Dr. So-and-so?" No, they're not. You
Oh
should
my
probably go.
god. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh
So,
my God.
but we all lived in a house, and we just divided rooms. And I didn't care. I took like the smallest room. There was a window, thankfully. But it's whatever. We had a great time. I think we had a really good time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I know, like, aside from Samurai, your group also came out at Power Morphicon. Your group was also introduced. How
Yes.
was that? Like, how was that feeling of, being, out, like, not outed, but being,
Yeah.
like, presented to the world as the next Power Ranger?
That was amazing. That was an amazing sort of thing. I mean, like when we were at Power Morphicon, we weren't allowed to go anywhere. I think they brought us in like super early too. And we were in this room.
wow.
We got to. I think we donned our costumes for like the first time or the second time. And looking back, it was a huge honor, and I love it. I hate watching the video of it because I look so goofy and like super nervous, and I'm like, yeah, like throwing my thumb up, like, yeah, got this. But I definitely, that was an amazing experience, and I think that's one of the reasons why I love going to Power Morphicon, because it just brings me back to that. So it was really cool. I was super nervous when I did that, which was so funny.
At what point did that happen? Did you already go to New Zealand, or was that before?
That was before. So I believe that was before. I think so. Yeah. Yeah, it had to have been before, because when we were in New Zealand, we came back for Christmas, and then it was like maybe the day or the second day after we left, they aired our first episode.
Wow.
Like to go back to New Zealand, because we were on our Christmas break, and then like maybe a day later, they aired our episodes right after we got on our plane to go home. So we couldn't even watch our first episode.
I was literally going to say, so you couldn't even get to see it?
No, we had to. I think we streamed it somehow. I don't remember how we did it. We tried to watch it, but we didn't even get to see our episodes coming out. And I had all my friends, and like my wife would do like Power Ranger parties every Saturday with all my buddies, and they would FaceTime me or something and be watching it and laughing. And I was like, hey, man.
Oh.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, so I sort of got to see like little snippets,
Got you.
It was cool, yeah. So we didn't even really get to experience that either, of being like, you have a TV show out, but it's not even airing in the country that you're in. So
Right.
it's sort of like, Yeah.
Right, because they just recently allowed that to happen. Yeah. Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So, and then I think like a year after our first season aired, when season 2 was coming out, I think that's when other countries were getting it, like the UK and like Brazil and like, random areas. But that's how, I guess that's how TV works, it's all over the place. Yeah, so, yeah, I feel like I'm just ranting. Am I answering Nell's question?
No, you are.
No,
You're
it's totally fine.
you're
I've
great.
been quarantined for a long time, so talking to other people is great.
Okay, tell us about it.
Yeah.
But okay, so when you got there, and you're doing your thing and stuff, of course we know that every ranger goes through ranger boot camp where they have to train in their fighting and stuff like that. How was that for you?
So that was cool. I'm glad that they do a ranger boot camp. So I had, at NIFA, we do stunt training. So
Yes.
I had done 2 years of stunt training. I had a little bit of stunt training when I did theater, but I did 2
You
years of
practice
stunt.
with Jack, right?
Yeah, I practiced with Jack. You're right. Yep, Jack.
Yep.
And then in New York, I had a stunt teacher who was Mark Strong from Sherlock Holmes. When he plays the villain in Sherlock Holmes, he was his stunt double in that movie. So that was my
Oh
stunt
wow.
teacher in New York.
That's so cool.
Mike Yon, that's his name. Anyway, so the boot camp was great. I mean, it was so much fun. Like that's when you get to meet your stuntie, and then you get sort of acclimated to doing falls, doing rolls, kicking the correct way, punching, so we're not going to hurt ourselves. It was great. It was a blast. We had a really good time doing that. And that was, let's see, we would do that that was 2 weeks. So when you first get there, you are there for about, I don't know, a couple days, no, maybe a week. We were in like a hotel and we didn't really, we were just kind of there in New Zealand, getting everything situated, getting everything going. And then we started training, and you train for about 2 weeks. So your training involved, like Ranger boot camp actually is like, you wake up in the morning, you go to a gym and you're training with all the stunties for about, I would say maybe like, we probably did training for maybe like 3 or 4 hours. And then we would go from there to the studio. And then at the studio, we would do basically like acting classes, not really acting classes per se, but like getting our character. So we had an acting coach in New Zealand who's a New Zealand-based actor who was basically going through the same things that we would do in like theater or at NIFA, like playing games like Zip Zap Zop and stuff like that, just getting us as a cast together and getting our chemistry ready, and then going through our characters and going over our scenes and doing all that. And then we did that for maybe 2 hours, and then, so we were working, I don't know, our boot camp would be like, I don't know, maybe like 7 hours out of our day, and then we did that for 2 weeks straight. So every day for 2 weeks straight.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
It's
cool.
it's a cool boot camp. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then after that, you did your Ranger boot camp and then filming. What was your first day like on set?
So our first day on set was, I'm trying to think. I think our first day on set was the first episode of us in the classroom, I believe,
Okay.
with Mr. Burley, and that guy is hilarious. He is totally not like he is on the show, which is really funny because on the show he's like this goofy, sort of, elderly gentleman who's like, and then outside of the show he's like this really sophisticated Shakespearean actor who listens to like Emmett. Yeah, he's a really interesting character, really interesting man. But filming was crazy. I was like super nervous with filming too. Like I feel like the first day I was like, like really nervous. Am I gonna forget my lines? And then I'm like, I have one line. What am I talking about? Like it's it's an amazing experience. You know, like just being a part of it was crazy, and then it just got easier from there, and then you know you're just sort of in a groove, and you have your your characters laid out, and then you just it's like you're going to work. You know.
Got you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So speaking of the character, sorry.
Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
Speaking of character, how did you feel about Noah as a character?
So I think that Noah as a character for me was great because he definitely had a transitioning point when it came to season 2. I feel like season 1 was us finding out who we were and who we are as a superhero, and I definitely think he grew a lot in season 1, but I think he definitely grew in season 2 when it came down to like finding out what he is, how he plays a part of this team, and who he can be. And I think that was one of the things that I definitely wanted to have happened with this character. I mean, like, I feel like it's, you know, because my counterpart in the Japanese series, like, he is this, you know, I'm sorry, badass dude. Like, he's just cool. You know, like, he's just this person, especially in season 2, like, he's just this cool guy. And so, like,
Talking about in Go Kaiser, right? For some MegaForce?
yeah.
Okay.
And so it sort of needed to emulate that sort of presence that he had, especially when I'm in the suit. Like, you know, he's all over the place. So, you know, bringing that forward to my character was sort of something that I wanted to have happen. But yeah, I think Noah was, you know, definitely a good character. It was a great character. I think it was, you know, I wish that me and Jake sort of had transportation to roam around on instead of walking everywhere. But yeah.
If you could change one thing about your character, would you change anything?
Yeah, my clothes.
Uh,
I mean, golly. I mean,
Can we talk about that for a second?
You stopped wearing the blazer at some point.
what happened there? I kept getting it dirty, so they were like, you know what, we're just gonna get rid of it. No, I don't know what happened. You know, sometimes I'd have it on, sometimes I'd have it off. I think eventually it was like one of those things where, you know, it can be tough because when you're working on a show and you are the costume designer, you know, I felt for them because we were like, that was another thing that we would be doing at boot camp was getting our clothes ready and getting like what we're wearing as a character. And we tried on all sorts of outfits. And then we like picked the outfit. We picked some of the outfit, or they picked some of the outfits, and it was like, where are the other outfits that you guys got? Like, what is happening? So I feel like for them it was sort of like, okay, we have the outfit. Now we got to buy like 8 of these shirts, 8 of these pants, 8 of this, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I didn't get that. Like, why your season was he one of the few seasons that wore the exact same outfit all the time?
Same thing.
Like, I was like, what?
Their explanation for that was that if we change outfits, kids will get confused on who is who.
What?
Okay, that is such a lie. Like, come on, Mighty
Your
Morphin.
face isn't going to change.
Like, let's look at Mighty Morphin. Like,
yeah, I don't really understand it either, but it is, you know, I don't know, whatever. I think it'd be kind of cool if they gave us our costume when we were done. You know what I mean? Like,
you didn't even get to keep it?
no, we didn't get it.
Did you take anything from set? Did you like sneak it out?
No comment.
Oh.
No comment. No, I didn't. No, I didn't really keep anything. The thing was, like, you know, I don't know. I don't really keep it. I was gonna take my watch, but it was a Casio watch. I think I can buy that at Target. You know what I mean? Like, it was like one of those, you know, gold digital watches that I was like, I'm not gonna take this. This is weird. But that polo that I had, that blue polo that I wore, it was from some brand, and they only had like 5. And the 5 that they had, were like the only ones they could find anywhere.
What?
Like they could not find that polo. So they were like, okay, this is the thing, John. You cannot get this like dirty. You can't eat in your costume. You can't, you can't do anything. So I was like, okay, thanks. I'll be in my trailer shirtless.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So,
Oh.
you know, kind of funny.
Wow. So, so aside from the non-changing of your costume, so when you went from MegaForce to Super MegaForce, how was that? Was that like a huge change, or was it like just business as usual, or
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was a huge change. Me personally, I really dig the costumes in season 2. I like the costumes in season 1. I'm not really a fan of like the white that we had. Like you know how our costumes were like, I think we had like all white pants.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. But the costumes in season 2 I thought they were really cool. And then I don't know. Sometimes we would watch our. But yeah, season 2 was. I definitely liked the change. There was a good change going into season 2. We went from blasters, as Azim would put it, we went from blasters to blunderbust. So that was pretty cool.
And he had a new color.
Yeah, angels to pirates, which they still don't talk. We don't understand why he changed colors, but he did.
There's a good explanation for that. And
Yeah.
we never got it.
Yeah,
That was a cute
exactly. Yeah.
All right. So when y'all switched over and everything, you had the 25th anniversary, which is like one of the most talked about things in the fandom. How was that working with all those legendary Rangers? Like, how was that?
That was crazy. So, obviously we hadn't been to any of the cons, so we had no idea, we hadn't met any of the previous Rangers. And then when they all came out, we all went to dinner and, we figured out that Jason David Frank was coming out, it's funny because Jason Smith, he was actually one of our writers. He's the Red Ranger from Jungle Fury. He was one of the writers, so we had already met him. So when he was on set, we were like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm going to be in front of the camera this time." So, but yeah, it was awesome. It was pretty crazy. I mean, that scene when they're like walking down, I had chill bumps. I mean, it was pretty surreal. Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you actually get to watch that episode?
Yeah, that episode I got to see. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Yeah.
And what was your reaction?
It was cool. I'm one of those actors though that I really don't like watching myself. Because I judge everything I do. So, but it was cool watching that. Like that whole thing was crazy. I am one of those people though that I really wish that they built that up. Like that to me should have been like an hour-long episode. Or like
agreed.
2 like hour-long episodes, but
agreed.
Whatever, and that's the thing too. That's the biggest thing though, is that this franchise is their show is based off of what a certain age group. You know what I mean? Like they're doing everything that they do based off of like a 5-year-old to like a 13-year-old. So it's like, what does a 5-year-old and a 13-year-old want to watch? But even then, I think that's not right. Look at Avatar: The Last Airbender. Their final episode was an hour long, and kids watch that. I think that when that aired on Nickelodeon, which I waited for and watched, that was one of the most watched episodes of any Nickelodeon show, I think. And that was an
Wow.
hour-long episode. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
you got to know your audience. They'll watch it. I mean, Power Rangers is one of the number one, I think when we were on the show, I think it still is, it's one of the number one rated live-action children's shows. Like, they're watching it. So do it. You know, do an hour long.
Agree.
That,
I think they underestimate a child's like
attention span.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that, you know, I don't know. I'm excited to see what Hasbro does with it. It should be interesting. But you know, it is what it is. I think it's one of those things where a lot of it is money and you know, network time or whatever. There's probably some politics that are involved in it that I'm not a part of. So
True.
I have, you know, but I really enjoyed that episode. That was a really cool, like, you know, kind of chill bump episode.
So really random, like, where do you think Noah would be doing? What would he be doing today or right now? Or where do you think what would he have in his life?
You know, I don't know. That's interesting because I feel like he probably would have gone on to, let's see. So we were in high school, obviously. So I probably would have graduated with honors. I'd probably be going to, I probably would have by now had my master's somewhere, and then maybe working for the government to try to stop this problem, this monster problem. Probably creating some crazy weapons, because that was one of the things that my character did as well, was, you know, was like our weapons expert. But probably create crazy weapons for the military to try to stop this from going on. Or maybe my own privatized military. Who knows? I don't know. I always imagined that, like, Noah's family was super wealthy, and I had this really big house, and I was like, you know, I had my own lair at my house that we just never went to, and now I have this.
That would be so cool.
If Hasbro gave you a call and they said, "Hey, like the idea that you had, they were thinking the same thing," would you do it?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I'd totally do it. I mean, I would pray that they would have a different costume for me, but yeah, totally do it. Yeah. I think it's cool that they call Rangers back to do it. I think it's a good thing, you know. It reminds kids that there's other seasons out there, and you know, there are other Power Rangers, you know. I'm not really sure though if we are all in an alternate universe, or if we are still the same Power Ranger, and we just, you know, it's happening all over the United States, and no one gets, you know, it. You know, how the government is not involved in this, all these attacks going on in different states. I mean, I don't know, you know, but yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, so I would totally do it. Yeah.
Well, this comes to our part of the show when we do what's called the Ranger Name Game. We just say an actor's name that you worked with, and you just give us a memory or anything like that that first comes to mind whenever you hear their name.
Okay, nice.
All right. First person on the list, we have Ciara Hanna.
Okay. Ciara. So, man, there's so many things about Ciara. Well, first off, one thing that's hilarious is we were shooting a scene that we're all 5 lined up, and there's this explosion that goes off in front of us, and we all like morph, and as soon as we put out our morphers, it's like it's morphin' time, and then we morph, and then boom, we put out our morphins, and then this explosion just goes off right in front. Boom. And then when the smoke clears, you know, we've morphed. Well, we're filming the scene, and we all morph, and then it's like boom, explosion, and then you just hear ow, 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 ow.
Oh no.
Shit.
She's fine. She didn't get hurt. It's just the heat was so intense for her that she's just like, ow, ow, ow. So it's just pretty funny. I mean, like, that's always with me. That's a really funny thing. I mean, but yeah, there's so many things. We used to make fun of the girls all the time on set, so it's really funny.
Speaking of Christina Masterson.
Oh man, Christina. I think it's funny because, we have to morph in unison. That's the thing, is like getting the morph down in unison. I feel like there'd be so many times where we morph in unison, or we'd morph, and then all of a sudden we'd hear, Christina, can you be a little bit faster? It's like the stunt guy's just like, so we'd always do that to Christina. Christina, can you be a little bit faster? Yeah, that was always fun. And then, both of the girls, when we get to set, they'd have, because it's kind of cold in New Zealand, but they'd both be like bundled up in like these, jackets and just like shuffling around. And that was definitely Christina. She would just bundle up in these jackets and just like shuffle around the set.
Short one. Jeez.
Yeah. I felt bad for her. But, the show must go on.
Right. And you had a blazer, so
I had a blazer. I was fine. I had blazer and khaki pants, and I was like, "What's up?"
Next person, Andrew Gray.
Oh man, Andrew. Drew is just a hilarious person. Drew is funny because, okay, well, I got one. Talking about stunt training, or boot camp. So we were doing boot camp, and we all had to learn different techniques, different sort of styles. Second season, I had sword, so I was doing a lot of sword training. CR was doing a lot of like tiger poses, tiger training. Drew was more about like just brute force. So he was training with his stuntee, and I don't know what had happened. I think they were doing a sequence, and Drew was supposed to duck, and he didn't duck, and he got kicked hard in the head. And
shoot,
I love how everybody's like, "Oh man," I think it's hilarious. He's fine, but he does feel like he has some neck pain. So he goes to the doctor, and then they put him in like this soft neck brace.
Wow.
So every time we'd see Drew, he'd be somewhere, and he's just like in this neck brace, like, "Hey, what's up?" Just turning, like he can barely turn, like, "Hey, what's going on?" Oh man, I just remember that. Also, random times in our house, it'd be like super late at night, or random times you just hear from Drew's room like, "Yeah!" Like just random stuff. Drew is hilarious. Drew is just a hilarious. Here's another one about Drew. We were on Easter break, so we had about I don't know, like a 3-day break, 4-day break, but we weren't allowed to go home. Like we weren't allowed to like fly back or fly anywhere, to be honest. Like they were just like, you can fly to like New Zealand. So me, Azim, and the girls flew down to Queenstown, New Zealand. And Drew didn't want to go with us, so he stayed home. Well, we came back to the house, and there was like a broken light in the hallway. We're like, "Drew, what happened?" 5 minutes after we left, 5 minutes, Drew was taking a shower, and he was feeling it, man. He was singing a song, feeling it. He came out in the hallway and punched in the air and shattered one of the lights in our hallway. So,
Wow.
I have multiple funny stories of all these strangers. Yeah. So that's
He was just like, I have this time to myself. Now it's time to be free, and I break a light.
This literally happened like 5 minutes after we left. Yeah.
Wow. Next one, Azim.
Oh, Azim. Oh, Azim. Let's see. Well, one funny story about Azim is the first season that we were out there. So the first 8 months we were out there, Azim brought all sorts of stuff. Azim brought rollerblades, all of his fencing gear.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, he didn't joust. He fenced. I'm sorry. All of his fencing gear. Pads, frisbees, all sorts of stuff. And I was like, Azim, it was all in one like duffel bag too. Like
What?
one duffel bag was just full of all this stuff.
What?
I don't think we did. I think we did some of those things a couple of times. But I thought that was pretty funny that he brought that out there. He hates to talk about that as well.
It's like a road trip for him.
Yeah. What's another funny story? Azim has a bunch of funny stories. Like one day on set. Oh man, yeah. I think it was me, CR, and Azim were filming the scene, and Azim just wasn't having a good day that day. And Azim wore these like white, super white, like I think like Adidas shoes, and he had blue jeans on, and he has to like run down this hill, and it had just rained. He has to like run down this hill, and they told him, Azim, don't get your shoes dirty, and he's like, okay.
No.
So he starts in the top of the scene, starts running down this hill towards us, and he totally slips and falls and slides down the hill. And he gets mud all from his feet all the way up his leg and his back. And they say cut, and he just gets up and does a sad Azim face and just walks off. And he goes, well for that. Oh, man, it's funny. It's funny. It's good time.
Oh no. Well, that's the weirdest thing though, because like, did they just? Well, from all the stuff that I've worked on and stuff, if you didn't have a costume and it had multiple things of it wouldn't be a problem. I don't understand why they just kept telling you guys, don't get dirty. You're gonna get dirty.
Yeah, it just was one of those things where, they probably had 3 pairs of Azim shoes. And then, but the thing too is like for us, we had, like I had 4 different blazers. I had 2 blazers that were my hero, what they call the hero blazer, which are like clean, pressed, good to go. Then I had 2 that were already like beaten up and they had already made like dirty. So they're just automatic. They're just always dirty. So I think it's just one of those things where they're like, okay, you got these shoes that are for this. You got these shoes that are for that. You got these shoes, which are like the hero shoes that like are clean and they should stay clean. So I sort of get it, but it's also one of those things like, there's an episode when we find this Silver Ranger after, I think it's a Silver Ranger and Drew. No, it's just a Silver Ranger. When he's on the beach and we're like running towards him and they're doing that huge drone shot, they told us not to get wet. And we're like running through the ocean. So we're like, okay, yeah, we'll try.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah. So then, like, the third, I think it was like we did the take maybe like 4 times, and they were still trying to tell us not to get wet. Me, Team Drew were just stomping through the ocean, just like literally trying to get as wet as possible, just like kicking up water, like sliding in, being like, okay, I think we got the shot, like. Oh man, it's like those things of like, how are you not supposed to try to get wet when you're running through the ocean? I don't.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense, but whatever.
Obviously they know. We just haven't got the memo yet.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And lastly, Cameron Jibo.
Cameron and I became really close on set. Let's see, Cameron. I don't know. Where's some funny stories? Where's something funny about Cameron? Cameron, I don't know. Cameron. There's so many interesting things. I'm trying to think of something. I don't know. Cameron had a really funny wig when he first came into the show, like when he was on his planet, he had a really interesting wig, which I thought was hilarious because he sort of looked like Encino Man. Especially when the wig was like just placed on his head. I don't know. Me and Cameron just joked around all the time. Like we were just goofballs. We were just picking at people or playing jokes on people, and me and Cameron were just two peas in a pod. It was really funny, Like we would just hang out and just chill, Yeah.
Nice.
So who was like the prankster of your group? Would you say you guys or?
Definitely me. Me and Cameron, probably Drew as well, but definitely all the guys were pranksters. I mean, like I would hide in like the girls' trailer and like scare them and stuff like that. Like not creepy, you know what I mean? Not creepily. Like I would just wait for them to open the door and then I'd be like, ah! Which now looking back, I'm like, that sounds really creepy.
You were young.
Yeah, we were young. Whatever. I don't know. Funny.
So moving on, like I'm just curious. I noticed that like you've kind of switched gear from acting to photography. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? How did you get started into it? What made you decide you wanted to switch?
Yeah. So I think when I came back from New Zealand, I was talking to all my friends that I graduated with from NIFUN. I was talking with my one buddy, and I was like, man, when I get back, we need to just start filming. Like, let's just get out there and start filming. And I think that's one thing that a lot of aspiring actors don't do enough is just filming their own stuff. So we started filming, and then I just got more on the other side of the camera with directing, and I got really close with my DP, and then he did a lot of astral photography. And so I'd go out with him, and I just got more on that side. And then when we moved to Georgia, I was like, I want to get a camera, so I did, and started taking more pictures. And I think I've always been interested in pictures, but it was just one of those things where I feel like I love acting. With acting, I am in my element, but I feel like when it comes to photography, it's just another art form that I can express myself and I can do consistently, and also make money consistently. But I can definitely do consistently, and just be creative in that way, and I love it. Yeah,
that's awesome. This is more of a personal question on my end. So I'm actually from Toronto. And I noticed recently you took a trip to Toronto. Well, obviously not recent, but recent enough that I seen it, and I thought that's so cool. So, what was your experience like? What was your most favorite part? Like, would you say you want to come visit again?
Yeah, I think. Well, we gotta come back. So the story is I bought tickets for my wife to go see Shawn Mendes, and we drove from Georgia to Toronto. So
shut the front door. That was like what, 15-hour drive?
Yeah, it was a long drive, but it was great. We did it in 2 days. I think we stopped. I don't remember where we stopped, but we did it in 2 days, and I think the border was probably the most interesting thing, both leaving and coming back. So when we get to the border in Canada, the guy's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing here?" And we're like, "Yo, we're going to see Shawn Mendes." And he's like, "Okay," kind of does that thing. And then he's like, "So, this is it. Enjoy your stay." And basically, it was just like, "Okay, see ya. Have fun." And then when coming back, though, they were not cool at the border. They were like coming back to America, they were like, sir, why do you have all these bags? I'm gonna have to check your bags. Like, why do you guys have so many bags just going to Canada? I'm like, dude, we just drove from Georgia to Canada. Like, what are you talking about? It was just weird. It was a weird dynamic of like, it was easier to get into another country than to get back to my own country. So that dynamic was.
Which border did you end up going to?
What border?
Yeah.
Going into Canada was the Michigan border, I think.
Ah, okay.
And then coming back was the New York border. I think we
Okay.
went through Buffalo.
That explains it. Because on the way, like leaving to America, I find at the Michigan border, they're like, I don't know what it is about them, but they are hard ass, like AF. I don't know why, but when
Yeah.
I would cross, they would always give me such a hard time. They would never believe anything I said. I think mostly because like I was like, oh, I'm going to a convention. They're like, really? You're going to a convention? And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
don't stereotype us. But then coming back, I always got the greatest people crossing in. And
yeah.
and I always come back from Niagara, the Niagara Buffalo one, and that was always really nice. But like,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, it really does make a difference, which depends on which border you're crossing to and from.
I just thought it was interesting. That trip though was good and bad. So the trip, we went to the concert. The next day, my wife was having horrible pains, and she ended up having E. coli. So we had to go to the hospital. Yeah, so the whole next day, she was like in bed sleeping. And
poor thing.
It was bad, yeah. And so we got to experience a little bit of Toronto, but not too much. So we stayed at an Airbnb, the Blue Jay Stadium.
Yep. Very fancy area.
Airbnb, like literally right down the street from that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then we had to go to the hospital at like, man, it was like 3, 4 in the morning. No. We went to the hospital at like 1 a.m.
Shoot.
Or like 2 a.m. And that was horrible. We had to wait for a long time, and like my wife was just in so much pain. There were some definite weirdos out. It was just interesting. So, and then we literally packed up and drove out the next day. And then she had E. coli. And then after that, like 2 days, she had another pain. She had a kidney stone. So that was,
wow.
It was
poor
bad.
thing.
Yeah, I felt horrible. But she got to see Shawn Mendes, and we were like, I think we were 4 rows back from the front of the stage. So
nice.
She was digging that. So that was good. That was a fun time. And then, there's that, the harbor is right there. So
the harbor front.
And go run on the harbor. That was really fun. Yeah.
It's a really nice harbor, and I really like that harbor myself.
Yeah, and we there's a right behind, it's like right up the street from the harbor. If you keep going, there's all this like cool like I don't know, like cool streets that have like, it reminds me of sort of like San Francisco. It's like these really eclectic shops and like really like sort of like hippie shops and great food, great burger. Wish I had the burger right now. Great food. Yeah, I mean, I would really like to go back, to be honest. I really like to go back to Canada in general. I have a couple of friends that live in Vancouver and Calgary and stuff like that.
Oh, Calgary? There's not much going on in Calgary.
No,
it's pretty dead.
That lives in Calgary, he's like, no, you don't really need to come here.
Yeah, you really don't.
Yeah,
you really don't. Like the major city that if you're gonna visit, definitely like obviously Toronto, Vancouver. And then if you're in Toronto, you can do little road trips out to like Quebec, Montreal. Those are really, really beautiful scenic places. Yeah. Even Ottawa's really nice to visit too. But definitely do not need to visit Calgary.
Yeah.
You're not missing out on anything, I promise you. All right, well, that's good. Thank you for sharing. And you know what? Like, hit me up if you're in Toronto. I'll let you know what the greatest places check out, great food places. I'm such a foodie. But I thought it was really cool when I saw that on your story. I went, shut the front door. He's in Toronto? And I almost felt like saying, I know where I can show you. And I was like, no, that's creepy. That's creepy. Don't do that.
That's cool, though. Yeah, I love that.
Well, that's really cool. So now this brings us to the lightning round. It's not as fast as it sounds, but I'm just going to ask you a series of questions.
Okay.
Just to kind of wrap all of us up together. If you could have dinner with 3 person, dead or alive, who would it be?
It would be Robert Downey Jr.
Good one.
Charlie Chaplin. And Paul Newman.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good choices.
Yeah.
If you could have one superpower, what would you want it to be? And you can make one up. It doesn't have to be the traditional superpowers.
Flight. For sure.
If you could live anywhere in the world, now that's given like your entire family, everything, everyone you love can come with you, where would you want to live?
If I could live anywhere in the world
Mm-hmm.
and everyone could come with me,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, oh god, probably New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your current favorite TV series or movies that you could share with us, since most of us are in quarantine, that we could watch?
Yeah. Let's see. Lock and Key on Netflix is pretty good.
Oh, okay.
I've seen that.
I've seen the
good.
trailer. I wasn't sure.
Lock and Key is pretty good. I started watching Tiger King on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. I'm currently on that.
There's so many good shows out. I always watch the same shows though. Like right now, I'm rewatching like Parks and Recreation. Like I don't know. Movie wise, I don't know if you guys have seen Parasite.
No.
Oh, I have. Yeah.
That is an amazing, amazing movie. It is phenomenal. I mean, I'm glad it won Best Picture, but it is a great movie. Ford versus Ferrari, also
really
an amazing movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like very intrigued to watch it, but I wasn't sure because I was like, I didn't really hear people talk about it that much.
Mm-hmm.
Which
so
one?
I was like,
Ford versus
Ford and Ferrari.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
Okay.
It's really good. Yeah.
Check that out.
Yeah. Good.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Check on that.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Yes, I heard good things about that one too.
Yeah.
All right. Are you a coffee or a tea person?
Oh, coffee for sure.
Thank you.
And just black.
Thank
Nothing
you.
in it.
Thank
Black
you.
Thank you. I can do black.
Thank you.
No, I don't. Tea is okay. I drink a lot of tea on set
Mm.
because they cut me off from coffee because I was drinking like probably 4 cups of coffee.
How dare they?
Like a 2-hour time span, so I was wired. Yeah, I'm definitely a coffee drinker. I have like this lactose thing, so I can't do milk very much anymore.
Mm.
But I prefer just like the taste of black coffee, especially iced black coffee.
That's good.
Yes.
That's good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. You're definitely my kind of person.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
DC or Marvel?
Oh, that's a tough one. Marvel movies, DC comics. And what I mean by that,
Really?
to watch a movie, oh man, see, this is gonna get me in trouble with a lot of people. Here's my. I know this was lightning round. Let me explain this. Can I explain
No,
this real quick?
totally.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay. I want to know.
Me too.
I think that the Marvel franchise does so well with knowing who their audience is, knowing what the characters are, knowing their comedy. Marvel is just a genius at what they do. They're just good at what they do, especially when it comes down to making the movies and making the characters like the comic book. Let me say this. DC, I love DC. I grew up on DC. When it comes to DC, like Batman, I grew up with Batman and Superman. Like, I know people hate me for this, but Superman is probably that was just my bread and butter. Like I grew up on the Christopher Reeves Superman. That's just what my dad showed me. And then, Batman Begins, Dark Knight, those are, Batman is my other one. Like Batman, the animated series. When it comes down to TV shows, though, DC's got it. Like Batman, the animated series, the Superman series that came out in like the 90s or like the early thousands. That was great. You know, like the Justice League when it came out. I watched it. I don't remember when it came out, but when I was a kid, maybe late 90s. The Justice League, like I didn't watch any of the Marvel. Well, okay, no, the Amazing Spider-Man was really good. And so was X-Men, the TV show. But I still think DC has
Iconic.
better.
Mhm.
Like Batman the Animated Series is probably one of the best animated superhero television shows, in my opinion. Like it just
Absolutely,
hands down, it's so
I
good
agree.
because it's dark. It is what Batman is, and God, what's the guy's name that does the voice?
Mark Hamill?
Mark
Oh,
Hamill. But the Joker, Mark Hamill did the Joker for that, which
No, Mark Hamill did the Joker. Yeah.
Mark Hamill did the Joker. His name is
Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Connolly.
Kevin Conroy.
He's
Yes, I
Batman to
always
me.
get those two confused.
His voice is Batman to me. Like that's just what it is.
Absolutely, yes.
And then Mark Hamill's voice is the Joker to me. Like that's just
He's the
it's
Joker.
just
Yeah.
insane. So then when it comes down to like comics, the DC comics are so true, and they can be dark, like dark. And then Marvel is like some of the Marvel comics are good. I'm not saying they're bad. I just it's just interesting. I don't know. See, this argument I feel like is one of those things that's just so tough because DC, like the most interesting thing to me about DC, there was a DC movie that came out that recently I feel like that was also it was like a female.
Oh, Birds of Prey.
Yes. Okay. There you go. That movie. I don't know if y'all saw that.
I did.
I definitely think it had some moments, but I thought it was a good movie. It was definitely better than Suicide Squad. That's just me. But it was.
Definitely.
I thought it was great, and it was produced by Margot Robbie.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure it was directed by a woman.
Mhm.
And then you have Wonder Woman, which I think was their biggest movie. Female superhero, female director. Like it was just that's a thing. It's just that strong female presence, and they knew what they were doing. And then when it came down to like Aquaman, I feel like Jason Momoa is cast perfect for that, but I cannot get over Manta's stupid song when he's making his thing. When he's making his outfit, I'm gonna get you next time. I'm gonna do it, push it. It was like this random 80s, like building song of like this villain. Push to the limit. I'm gonna get you, Aquaman. Like I loved it. I was like, dude, this is such a cool movie. And then that came on, and I was like, what is happening, dude? What is happening? Why are they playing this random 80s like pump up song for this villain? It was a poor choice.
Yeah, they do that a lot. They do that a lot in their movies. I've noticed their song choices are horrible.
Stupid. And then what's funny to me is so many people had so much slack on Batman versus Superman. I did not mind that movie. Like, first off, what's his name? The guy that plays Lex Luthor.
Eisenberg?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesse.
Eisenberg.
Yeah,
I thought
Jesse.
he was great. I thought he perfectly cast for that. He was great. The showdown, didn't last very long, but I thought it was cool. The fact that both of their moms are named Martha, that's just a thing. I don't know. You can't really.
I never even noticed that. That was funny.
I didn't notice it until that movie, and I have no idea how I'd never noticed that. But it was just a thing, and people I feel like had an issue with that. Like, but it's one of those things where when you talk about like that, a lot of people have, they didn't like it. I thought it was the music for it was amazing. Like, I don't know. It's whatever. I could go on a rant for this for a long time. I just feel like it's one of those things. And then a lot of people hated like the Justice League movie. I didn't really prefer it, but I'm gonna watch it. People paid to go see it. Like, you can't say that you didn't see that movie. It just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But then the Marvel.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, yeah.
They got it. They got it down. They got it down. They just know what they're doing.
This is true.
I mean, I'm just waiting for them to for Wonder Woman specifically, because I'm a huge Wonder Woman fan. Like the way you got started with like Superman and Batman, I'm the
Yeah.
same way with Wonder Woman.
Mhm.
So like, cause I used to watch the '70s version when it was syndicated on the
Yeah.
Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah.
I used to love Linda Carter. So I'm just
Yeah.
like, I just want, if anything, I just want her to be like Linda Carter in a sense.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see what happens with this new one. You're talking about the new one, right?
Yeah, 1984.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with it. I really hope that I don't know who the director is. I hope it's the same director from the first one, from the Wonder Woman movie. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I get really nervous when DC's like puts out really cool stuff and they put out a really cool trailer and then you go watch the movie and you're like, what just happened? This is not like anything like
You
that.
just
Like
showed me all the cool stuff in the trailer.
the
Yep.
trailer from Suicide Squad looked awesome. It looks like, dude, I want to go see this movie. And then the movie was just like, this is garbage. What is happening? Okay, it wasn't garbage. That's a bit far. But it was just like,
I have fun with that. I actually have fun.
Nah,
I thought it was, I thought, I'm going to watch it. Hey, I'll put it on. I'll watch it. It's just one of those movies where I'm not like, you know, it wasn't like Marvel where, you know, in Endgame, you've all seen it, right?
Of course.
It's been too long. There's no spoilers.
hundreds of times.
When Captain America catches the hammer, that gave me goosebumps.
Mm.
Like that gives you like this sense of like goosebumps, and like when all of that's going down, like, and then when they all come together. And he says Avengers Assemble for the
Avengers
first time.
Assemble.
That is so epic. Like it literally is making my hair stand up on the back of my neck right now. Like if a superhero can make you do that, make you feel that, they did their job right.
Mm.
And that to me, you know, I haven't seen a DC movie that's done that for me.
I agree.
You know, it's just one of those things. Like I haven't seen. Okay, well, The Dark Knight was really good, but I haven't seen a DC movie where I've been like, I've got these chills of like, man, oh, I know what I'm talking about. Here we go. I don't know if y'all have seen The Joker.
No, I haven't.
Yes.
It
Dude,
hasn't enticed me.
okay, that movie is amazing and it will give you chills,
Okay.
but not in a good way.
Oh.
It is super uncomfortable, but that
Very.
is, to me, Marvel is just that kid, lighthearted, you know, we're going to make jokes, we're going to do this. Our fights can still be like deep and dark. DC needs to do what Joker did from here on out. Like it should just be dark. And that movie makes you feel uncomfortable. I'm just going to say that.
Okay.
It is a very good movie.
I'm going to have to go see that myself.
You need to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I want to say like maybe it was like the last 20 minutes or something. It was just like from the time that he just makes up in his mind, I'm going to wreak havoc. It was like I just felt my stomach drop from then on out.
It's a uncomfortable movie. It's really uncomfortable, and the way that they portrayed the Joker is just. Joaquin Phoenix did an amazing job.
All right. So our last two lightning round questions would, if you could be one age forever, now I'm talking like physically, like you would be that age, but obviously in your mind it would grow and it could develop. It could be, you know, like 100 years old. What age would you want to be at?
Like if my physical body was one age?
Yeah.
Oof. I don't know. Probably in between the ages. Oh, man. Okay, 25.
Okay, good age.
25.
Yeah, good age. And then the last question from me is, what would you want your legacy to be?
My legacy? Oh, man. Here lies a man who changed the world. Legacy, not eulogy. Sorry.
We'll take both.
Yeah. I think my legacy, a good legacy is just, you know, being true to who you are and just, you know, I don't know, man. That's a hard question. Golly. I don't know. Just, I think a good legacy for me in itself was just being true to myself, you know? I don't know. Being the best that I could be. Being the best photographer I could be.
Okay.
Being the best entertainer I could be.
That's
I don't know. That is a tough question.
No, it is. And that's why I love asking it, because it really makes you think. And I guess
Yeah.
like another best to I guess I can rephrase it in a way that like what would you want people to remember you by or as, or, you know, even when you're gone from this earth.
Yeah. I feel like the thing that I see, the thing is, I would really like people to remember me by, you know, he was always there. Something like that.
Okay.
You know.
Oh, that's
I don't
good.
care about, you know, he had $1 million. You know, who was that person? You know, I don't know. I don't really care about stuff like that.
No, that's good. That's good.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it, especially, you know, the talk with all the Marvel versus DC. That was definitely great.
Yeah.
We thank you. Where can the people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at @JMLoudermilk. I don't really post a lot there, but you can find me there. You can also find my photography work at jmloudermilk.com. So.
Photography, awesome. Check it out. Check out his work. You know, be awesome and just support.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for just coming on our show and really and just being here with us and entertaining us and stuff like that. We really appreciate
We do.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, no problem.
Thank you.
No problem. If you guys ever come out to Paramorphicon this year, let me know.
We will be there if it happens.
Right, if it happens.
If it happens, we will be
if it
there.
goes down. Yeah. But I'll see you guys.
Yeah,
there.
because I live here, so I'm like, I'll definitely be there.
Yeah.
No, I definitely got my flight ticket. I'm all ready to go. We just hope that we can make this happen.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it'll happen. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be good. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. But if I will say this to the people out there, if you ever want to go to a con, especially if you're a Power Ranger fan, that is the convention to go to, for sure.
Facts.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Done. Let's see what I can do to upgrade Jake's axe. How does Jake even use this thing? He is crazy strong. I'll never be as strong as he is. Maybe I'm not cut out for this hero thing. If I want to keep up with the rest, maybe I need to work out like Jake.
CG is pro. What in the world are you doing?
Who am I kidding? I'm never gonna be strong enough. You know, you were always the gung-ho guy, and I was always the, you know, slightly nerdy type.
Slightly. Just messing with you, buddy. Come on. You know you're smarter than the rest of us combined, right? Let me tell you a little secret. It's not about muscles. It's about believing in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you can do anything.